My name is Bob Zinkowski. I'm the Township Manager, and on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, we welcome you. And we thought this was very important to let the business community know, as well as the entire Radnor community know, what's going to descend here on Radnor in the next couple weeks here. And our police department has done a tremendous job in putting this program together to kind of give you an overview of what the efforts that have been going on for months here in the preparation that has taken place, and to let you know that we are out in front of this and to inform you and kind of give you a heads up of what's going on, and that as we get closer to the papal visit here of the things that are going to be taking place. So Superintendent Colarulo, I'll turn it over to you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Bill Colarulo, and the Township Manager, Mr. Zinkowski, gave us direction approximately a month and a half ago based on this papal visit. He realized there was a lot of unanswered questions, a lot of concern. If you listen to the news and you watch what's going on in Philadelphia, it's more of a doom and gloom scenario than something that's supposed to be a joyous occasion. So Mr. Zinkowski asked us to attend a lot of these meetings with the county, as well as put our own plans into effect. To my left is Lieutenant Christopher Flanagan, in charge of Special Operations. To his left is Lieutenant Andy Block, in charge of Operations. And to the Lieutenant Andy Block's left is Sergeant George Smith. He's our strategic planning officer. They put a plan together that's unique to Radnor, but also coordinates with the Philadelphia plan. So hopefully, what they're going to tell you today, and after that they'll open it up to questions and answers. You should leave here with a little bit of a better understanding of what's going on in Radnor for the weekend of the 25th to the 27th. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Lieutenant Chris Flanagan to start it off. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. As we all know, the papal visit is upon Philadelphia and the 5 county regions surrounding, and it'll have major impacts to every community, whether it be a small issue or a large issue. Our goal today is to have a 3 series of meetings to make sure that everybody in the Radnor community has an opportunity to hear what's going on. With permission of the superintendent later, we're going to be putting on our web a traffic plan so that if you're simply coming to visit that weekend and using one of the 2 train stations, which we'll go over in detail, that you're able to access that small piece of information, and the rest of our community can review this. We're going to start right now with, we already did our welcome, so we'll get right into it. How this happened is Philadelphia got notified that the Pope was coming, and the World Meeting of Families starts on the 22nd and goes through the entire weekend. Based on the Pope and his popularity, it's been designated a national security special event, which what that means simply is that the Secret Service is now the empowered law enforcement agency that can dictate all the things that go on. And probably the most important is road closures for safety and security. And we will go over that, but those decisions were based on the empowerment by the government, from Homeland Security to the Secret Service, which has major traffic implications, which will actually affect us. Delaware County, hearing this, actually put together a team of their local emergency planning committee, which has to coordinate all the groups in Delaware County. Sergeant Smith, the Radnor Fire, Radnor EMS, Public Works, all have met and shared information and resources, and we will team up with Delaware County and tell them what we have in our plans, and they'll tell them what they have in our plans. In particular, Radnor Township on August 17th enacted an ordinance which declared a state of emergency, and that is not because we wanted to create panic or we don't think we can manage the situation. But in a very brief description, if we're able to recoup money, that designation will allow Sergeant Smith, as the EOC manager, to help recoup any costs. We don't think that's going to happen, but if that is the opportunity, we needed to have the foresight to do that. A quick event timeline. The 22nd, the World Meeting of Families meets in Philadelphia. Also, the Pope arrives in Washington. Wednesday through and Thursday, they have basically events at both locations. Friday, September 25th, the Pope is in New York. The World Meeting of Families has probably most of their activities really geared up, including family days and other things that'll happen in King of Prussia. That is when we expect to see an increase in traffic and when things will probably change here for the Radnor community. In particular, the impact will start Friday night at around 10 o'clock when they start the major highway road closures, which we'll go over in a second, and that's when we should start seeing it. And the Pope arrives in Philadelphia Saturday, and then he has his final Mass on Sunday. There are two key handouts that are at the front. One of them is one that's put together that has various websites to keep you informed about all those activities, whether they're directly in the city at St. Charles Seminary in Lower Marion, or like I said, they're using Upper Marion for some events as well. The second key handout will be the transportation handout, which we'll go into in a second, which is going to review what you can do if you need public transportation or your staff does. The third handout, which is also available at the front desk, is we really would like you, and George Smith will go over, our EOC will push out live information through our notification system here at Radnor Township, and we'd like all of you to be signed up for alerts, and not just for the Papal visit, but for weather emergencies and crime emergencies. Major road closures, and again, this is supposed to occur, at least the work is supposed to start on Friday around 10 p.m. The Ben Franklin Bridge will be closed, I-76 eastbound from 476 to I-95, which is going to have the biggest impact, I believe, here for this community. I-676 in both directions from 76 to I-95. US Route 1 in both directions, which means City Line Avenue in Lower Marion from Lancaster Avenue down to Belmont Avenue will be closed. We believe there will be some backup for local townships such as ourselves based on that. The red line designates just how big the impact line is. We'll keep moving. SEPTA has gone from approximately 282 stations of service on the Papal weekend to just 31. This handout goes over that in great detail. The long and short of it is you're not going to be able to use it for normal transportation mode. It's all designated for that. Bus service should run. If you guys count on employees, you definitely need to have some contingencies for that. Traffic congested is going to be at an unprecedented level. We're just not sure what's going to happen. We have planned and unplanned road closures. What that means is if we start having a significant problem, we'll contact our EOC, we'll get live time management. If we have to close a local road to alleviate another traffic problem, then we will do that. The airport is supposed to not be impact on workers and schedules for your own businesses are definitely a strong consideration, and planning ahead of time is critical. Rail and bus transportations, just simply stated, they're non-existent with the exception of some local bus service. You're going to need to have plans for that. You want to go over how this will affect your daily operations. You want to pre-plan allocation of supplies and deliveries for the week. That is critical to get that stuff in. The township, under Steve Norsini, has ordered extra fuel, supplies, and other things. We are prepared here to get those deliveries before the week even starts. There could be language barriers for those of you who have different service centers. Impacted period is going to be Thursday through Monday. In other words, that's when we expect the biggest crowd to come in, obviously, because the Papal Mass is the center point of the event. School schedule adjustments. As you know, many schools are closed. Many of the Catholic institutions and colleges are closed. So you want to be aware of that, and that may have an impact on your staff if they have children and other things. You need to keep that in mind. Possible gas shortages. In other words, if there's a large concentration of people coming in the area, we definitely suggest that any fuel type sources that you have, you would want to fill up for your own use. There's a chance for up to 20,000 train station visitors specifically for Radnor Township right now. And correct me if I'm wrong, George, we're actually under the maximum capacity, which we're actually happy about, but things are subject to change, and as you've seen on the television, they're trying to get more people to attend the event. So the other issue is that Paoli train station is another one of the venues for transportation of the Papal visit, so we expect a lot of people to be cross-traveling. Plus, with the road closures that we went over, if you don't know about the road closures, the first exit you could get off after 76 being closed would be the Lancaster Avenue Blue Route exit. Again, schedule changes, weekend school activities in the Radnor School District, everything has been canceled or pushed off. I believe the colleges, most of them are doing the same thing. Chris Kowalski's here, he can answer that. Grocery shopping, pre-planning, gas and family cars, checked on planned appointments, make sure things are still open. Several businesses are changing what they're doing, including Friday. Just talked to one of the architects in town. He's sending his whole staff home. They'll work from home. So make sure you do your homework on any plans you have coming up to that. Radnor Township is going to be ready with the Civic Ready, which will go through our EOC, and that's how we're going to handle that local impact. I'm going to turn it over to Lieutenant Block because we want to make sure you're prepared for safety and security.
Good morning. Thank you, Lieutenant Flanagan. What we want to do over the next few minutes is just to push some information out for a heightened level of awareness and security throughout the township. Simply because, as you just heard, one of the impacts that we will have that will greatly affect the township is the traffic. With eastbound 76 being closed at the Blue Route, a lot of that traffic is going to be detoured off, most likely on the Route 30. So we are going to see a high impact of traffic coming through the township. So with that being said, there's some things that we want everybody to be aware of as far as what may be occurring in and around the train stations, the transportation hubs, possibly businesses and schools that are affected geographically by the train stations and whatnot. So with respect to anything that you may see, and if you can please push this down to your employees as well, with respect to suspicious people in the area. A lot of times what we garner after the fact is somebody sees something and they rationalize it and they don't want to call the police, and we're notified, a couple hours later. What we're asking everybody to do is, if you see something, to say something, to pick up the phone, call 911 if it's something that's suspicious. All right, if your gut's telling you something's not exactly right here, make the phone call. We'd rather find out that it's an innocent situation rather than something that may be planned or something else that's occurring in the area. So when we're dealing with suspicious persons, it's just general awareness. If it's somebody's acting in an odd manner, they're wearing an overabundance of clothing right now simply because it's still warm out, generally speaking. Requesting detailed information about your property, your business, or something in the area of your business, and taking photos or videos of infrastructure or the property that's associated with it. In addition to that, if they are inquiring or making inquiries or questions about security operations for your specific establishment, that's something that we need to know about right away. Taking notes, drawing diagrams of locations, and this isn't just focusing on the weekend that the pontiff's visiting the neighborhood, or the city rather. It should be happening now. If you start seeing some things that aren't adding up, we need to know about it. You should be calling your local police department, whether it's here in Radnor or where you reside. If you start talking to the individual, some of the cues and clues that comes up, they may avoid eye contact with you. They may be revisiting the same location. And again, that's something you want to see with if you have security personnel for the businesses and whatnot. If there's somebody that's reoccurring that you're not aware of, they keep coming back on site, we want to know about it. Make the phone call so we can do some investigation and intelligence work as well. And also, they might have a weak cover story if they're questioned by somebody in your establishment. So how would you address these situations? I think we just basically covered it. It's a 911 phone call. That's all it is. We're going to come. We'll do what we need to do with respect to the investigation aspect of it, and we'll keep you informed on where we are with it. In addition to that, with the heightened level of awareness, there's also the concern about suspicious vehicles. So again, this is information, just general information we want you to pass down to your employees and your staff, that if they see a repeat vehicle or a vehicle that's slow moving through your establishments, your campuses, your business campuses, the college campuses, the high schools and whatnot, make note of it, try to get a good description, be a great witness, and make the phone call to the police so we can follow up on that. Also, if you see, as I stated, in and around the schools and parking lots, obviously there's going to be a pretty significant impact with the Radnor train station, with Brandywine's properties, as well as the Radnor Township School District, and also at Villanova University and the surrounding residential streets at this point because of the high-speed line in play. If you see parked and occupied vehicles containing one or more persons, especially at unusual hours or locations, again, it's a general awareness. We want to be made aware of that so we can go and we can investigate it. And also abandoned vehicles that you see that show up randomly, they're parked on your street or your property without cause or notice, that's a 911 call to the police department. We'll investigate that as well. If you approach one of these vehicles, let's say there's an abandoned vehicle on your property and you go up just to take a look at it to get the description for the police, make note of anything that may be on or around that vehicle. If there's any suspicious devices that may be there, any different smells that may be coming from within the interior compartment of the vehicle or the trunk and whatnot. Again, on these situations, please don't rationalize it. Just make the call so we can come and have our officers and investigators take a look at the scenario. The other thing, and this is just general information, one of the general concerns we have in the region right now is basically a lone wolf attack. There's no intelligence information on this right now that we have, but we want to make everybody aware of it. And it's basically an ideology. The lone wolf pretty much operates on their own, but they may be mirroring an ideology from a terrorist group or another liberation group such as ISIS, the Earth Liberation Front, or the Animal Liberation Front. They basically think outside the box on terrorism simply because it's a lone wolf. They're by themselves. They have that ideology, but Their intent is to inflict serious harm and damage to infrastructure and/or people, sadly. And examples that we've experienced over the country, this is nothing new, but sometimes it is taken out of context because of the terrorism overseas, is Ted Kaczynski, who was the Unabomber, Timothy McVeigh, who was responsible for the Oklahoma City bombing, as well as Colleen LaRose, who was also arrested. She was Jihad Jane. So these are people that were residing within our communities. And again, this is not to scare people, but it's to provoke thought and awareness with the events that are coming up over the next 3 weeks. Additional awareness, we want you to be keeping your eyes out for abandoned backpacks, bags, suitcases around your establishments. If there's something there, don't approach it. If it's been there, be a good witness, notify the police, we'll come. We have equipment, as well as Delaware County has equipment to come and take a look at whatever those devices or those bags or those backpacks may be. If you receive suspicious or unknown origin of packages, if something's shipped to you, that's something we want to know about. Generally for the businesses, you know what you have coming in. The schools know what they have coming in through their central receiving. But if something arrives, all right, that is out of place, all right, notify the police. Let us come in and take a look at it. Again, don't disturb, notify the law enforcement as soon as possible. Also, please monitor your social media. Many of you have social media links. You support social media, but it's important, especially with the schools and the businesses, if you're monitoring your social media and you pick something up that you think is particularly interesting, or it disturbs you, or it's suspicious, again, with respect to the position where we're at, notify us and we will come out, we'll take that information and we will work with that, simply because once you notify law enforcement, we in turn take that information and turn it over to the fusion centers. There are several fusion centers in the area. There are local and regional fusion centers in Philadelphia. There's a state fusion center as well as the federal fusion center. So what might seem inconsequential to you may not be to us, because basically those fusion centers are there to map out everything and take bits and pieces and to see if they correlate together or if they're part of a puzzle. So it's extremely important that if you see something that is suspicious, to notify us right away so we can get that information out to the fusion centers. And again, I'm going to end my portion of the presentation. If you see something, say something. Please don't rationalize it. We're here. We're here. We want to be bothered. That's what we're here for. That's what we get paid to do. You can call 911, or during the weekend of the actual papal visit itself, we will be operating our emergency operations center, and that can be reached at 610-688-0503. At this time, I will turn it over to Sergeant George Smith, who is our EOC and operates our emergency operations center.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Lieutenant Block. I appreciate that. A little doom and gloom, wasn't it? This is a joyous event. From the 2 million people that we first started with coming into the area, numbers have gone anywhere from 1.2 to 2 million. Well, that's still a major influx into Radnor Township. And as Lieutenant Block pointed out, and Lieutenant Flanagan, 76 people are going to want to get into the city, and it's going to be closed right at 476. And guess what? Villanova is right there, Lancaster Avenue. So we're going to take a brunt of the traffic coming from the Midwest. One of the typical numbers they put out early was about 80% of the Catholics in the United States live east of the Mississippi, well within driving distance. So that's a lot of traffic coming in our area. So what we're going to do, and what the vision of Mr. Z and the Board of Commissioners, we activated the EOC system. Basically, it is an umbrella that is over police operations, public works. It's a liaison with the county and the community, because this kind of preparation would fail without our partners in the community. Colleges, public safety, the community, the business community. So we're trying to facilitate all this information under one umbrella. That way you have a one-stop shop, call and get an answer. You don't get put into a voicemail, you don't get put into a computerized system. You have an issue that day or that weekend, you call, and it will be addressed by a human being. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take you through our plans that we have just pretty much finalized with a very minor tweaking in the future. You were the first public people to see this, so after this initial meeting, we're going to publicize it to our website and try and push out as much information as we can. We think it's imperative to get into your hands information necessary to keep your businesses open, to keep your employees aware, because most people just go through life and, you know, they have the blinders on. This is going to be a major impact to the area. It's not doom and gloom, like I said. It's just going to be increased traffic, increased people to your businesses. I think it's a good opportunity to showcase Radnor Township. In the Radnor station, there are going to be some minor traffic detours. North Radnor Chester Road from King of Prussia Road is going to be made a one-way roadway. The reason you'll see as we go through is going to help facilitate pedestrian traffic. We're envisioning anywhere between 10 to 15,000 people coming to that stop. So that's a large influx of personnel coming in, and the sidewalks themselves are not going to be able to handle that. So you'll see why we did what we did for the overall safety of everybody involved. The bridge at King of Prussia Road will also be closed. So basically, traffic at Matson Ford Road will be detoured up King of Prussia Road or up to Matson Ford. The reason being, that's the north side of the Radnor train station. There's ample parking on that side, and you can get to the train station and into Philadelphia. We want to facilitate that as efficiently as possible. So if you're on the south side, there's ample parking in the 130, 150, 170 Radnor Chester Road building, 201 King of Prussia Road building, and other locations on King of Prussia Road. So this is just an overview of what we're going to do. We are believing, since there's going to be such a large influx of traffic from 476, that King of Prussia Road, just off of Lancaster Avenue, is going to take the crux of the traffic. So that's a two-way roadway. We'll get them in, get them up to the entry point, establish a drop-off zone for those that are not parking, and then funnel them back out Radnor Chester Road, right to Lancaster Avenue, and get them on their way. So we're trying to minimize the disturbance in the area as minimal as possible, but we're still being realistic about it. There are going to be established manned road closures where there are going to be officers, traffic people, or in some cases we've asked for assistance from the National Guard, and National Guard is going to be there. We don't want you to be alarmed. They're just a personnel to add, not protection, but to add personnel for our police. One thing that I wanted to mention also was your normal police operations will be as they are any other day. We are not drawing down from the patrol units that are on the street. We are supplanting that with off-duty personnel for this event. So you call 911 for normal operations, it'll get answered by a regular police officer. This event is going to be totally separate. So you have normal police operations, and you're going to have Papal operations. And again, it falls under that umbrella of the EOC. This is the pedestrian zone that we established in the north corner of the 170 building. Funnel everybody across just to south of the bridge, and then right into the SEPTA queuing area for the Radnor train station. We intend to employ ourselves and some of our educational partners variable message boards, those boards that you see in construction sites with very specific messages to help people out of the area get to parking areas. We're going to have one up at the 555 complex to try and funnel people for the next two stops into the left lane to get them into 130, 150, or North Radnor Chester Road. Underneath the blue route, you've seen this for Villanova games. We're going to help get the traffic that's going through, because Villanova Station is a secondary stop on the P&W line that affects this town also. Lancaster Avenue, further down, there's some private events with priests coming into the area that are going to need dedicated parking, and that's been established with our partners at Villanova. Messages are going to read specifically for them, but also for the general public to continue straight. Our biggest sign acquisition is going to be on the blue route, both southbound and northbound exit ramps. We're trying to get the message out early so people coming into the area can get into the proper lane and minimize any kind of vehicular crashes, because we don't want that, because that's going to take police resources out of the way. So these are all of the signs you're going to see in and around the area. Matson Ford Road, as I said earlier, is going to be a closed roadway. We're going to funnel people from King of Prussia Road to Matson Ford and from Matson Ford to King of Prussia. Locals will be able to get around the detour pretty easily using the back streets. What we're trying to avoid is the influx of people that aren't familiar with the area getting locked in some of the neighborhoods. So we're concerned about that. You know, the regular residents are going to be very upset with increased traffic, as I would be. So we're going to minimize that and affect it accordingly. Villanova Station, real simple for us. We're looking at this as a regular Villanova football game, only on steroids kind of thing. So ample parking there. What we're going to do is change Ethan Avenue to a one-way from Lancaster Avenue to Meadowwood. That's going to affect the neighborhoods. Unfortunately, we could not get away from that because of the pedestrian influx there. This station is theorized to have anywhere between 600 to 7,500 people going on a P&W line. So the infrastructure there isn't so verbose to maintain that like our Radnor station. This is going to be manned appropriately, and one thing I wanted to add on this, on the main lot, we're bringing them in off of Ethan and out at the chapel. So we want to either establish a drop-off zone closer to the P&W station or close to the exit so they can come down the pedestrian chute that you'll see later that we're establishing on South Ethan Avenue. So basically, this is a picture of South Ethan Avenue looking towards the bridge. Southbound lanes are going to be a pedestrian chute. We're going to have snow fencing up, and they're all going to come down and get into the queue area. That way we don't have conflicts in the queue area that you butt in line or anything like that, but we don't anticipate much of that. That concludes my presentation for Zone 1 that we're calling the Radnor Station, and Zone 2, the Villanova Station. Are there any questions or concerns that you have that we have not thought of or not addressed? Sir? What time do closures? That's an excellent question. What time do closures start? We're theorizing at 2 a.m. the closures are going to be started to put in place. Our operations center is going to be around 3 a.m. to 1500, which is 3 p.m., and then 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. So we're working a 24-hour cycle. By the morning commute, all of these will be in place.
2 a.m. Friday morning, you say?
Saturday morning.
Saturday.
Yes. Sir. That is an excellent. What time do things return to normal? Excellent question. SEPTA and our partners in there don't even have a good answer. We're going to try and get it back to normal as soon as possible. For us, continuity of operations is a key component to this whole moving picture. If we can get it 11 o'clock Sunday night, that's what we're going to shoot for. The sooner the better. Now, there are going to be lull periods. Like in the morning, there are going to be 2 time frames where we're going to have a lot of people coming in. If we can open up the roads, we will open up the roads, because there's no need to keep them down. But we can't at this time say at 10 o'clock it's going to be open when we don't have that. It's going to be one of those situations that our area commanders are going to report back to the EOC, and then we'll make the determination. We want as little negative impact to the community as possible. That's why in the previous slides, if you get your grocery shopping done Thursday instead of Saturday, like a lot of people like to do, you're going to be that much further ahead. That's why we want to push out that information. Any other questions? Ma'am? I do not know of any events in that area, but
We haven't been notified of anything in Radnor Township. There are some churches going to hold some different types of events, but we don't expect any major impacts from that. We check with our local colleges, Eastern, Cabrini, and of course Villanova, and I don't think there's anything major planned at all. It's all to get through the event.
One wedding, but, yeah. You don't want to compete with the Pope for a wedding, right? So, any other questions? Sir?
And the major road at 2 a.m. Friday also, 76. and that-
10 p.m. Friday. Yeah, the Philadelphia boxes that you've heard about on the news, 6 p.m. they're pre-positioning a lot of the equipment. 10 p.m. that's the drop solid date and time that you're not even going to get out or get in. Getting out's in. So, sir? Yeah.
One of the bridges going to be closed Monday morning?
They're theorizing till noon, Ben Franklin still. But again, with the numbers going from 2 million down to 1.2, it's still a flux that no one can really put their finger on. Sir?
Is that the only thing that's going to be affected through
That the trains are going to try and get back on a holiday or a Saturday schedule. Yeah, as soon as possible. Again,
Friday and Monday was the Saturday.
again, everybody wants to get back to normal operations as soon as possible, but coming out of the city and out of the events is the big question mark. No one can put a number on. At 5 p.m. on Sunday, this is how many people are going to be coming out.
Remind them that they have this to check
Yeah, that's excellent. Also, just keep in mind, SEPTA has updated their website and is doing a great job getting that information. So those handouts are important. Get them out to your people, or and just make them know, or look in yourself on a daily basis, or as it gets close, you'll have up-to-date information. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, in 1976, there was such an expectation of mass of people coming for the bicentennial that it may have scared a lot of people away because there were not that many people that actually did show up. Do you anticipate something of that sort? Is that one of the reasons for the fluctuation?
Yeah. The question is, 1976, the bicentennial had a similar sale issue. That's why I say the 2 million initially was the doom and gloom, and it shouldn't. It should be a real celebration, one of those things that it's kind of like a once-in-a-lifetime thing. It's hard to put the numbers on because the city and the people involved are starting to push the PR a lot more, and as you've seen on the news, hotel prices have come back down and they want to sell the unsold. All I know is in Radnor Township, we're gonna get an increased number of people on the roads, and that's the major problem here for Radnor. Yes, ma'am.
Well, all the maps that you showed on the website, on Radnor.com, will they be able to see like the road closures, like those slides you just showed?
Yes. Yeah. Everything that we can push out, we're going to get on our website, because not only do we want it for the residents, we want people that are Googling Radnor Township to be able to pull up, print, and know where to park. So we want to make it as efficient as possible. Yes, ma'am.
Do you know if the hotels in the area are already filled up to capacity, so we already have that done when you're ready to put them in there?
Oh.
Mr. Brennan's right behind you. He might be able to answer that.
They are not, because the septic transportation plan and the perimeter that the city set up, most of the people that we had on lists requesting renovations decided not to come.
And one of the biggest question marks that's going to have the biggest impact is going to be the weather. And fair weather event is going to be fantastic. Foul weather event is going to have a major impact. So, but we still have to plan for the worst and hope for the best. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
They changed the Radnor school, as far as schools Friday or Monday yet, or they on the normal schedule?
They're on normal schedules.
It's normal schedule, but they're doing it a case-by-case
Yeah.
basis.
Right now, we reached out, normal schedule for them. Obviously, they were in concurrence with activities on the weekend. They're going to try again, get back to normal. They don't anticipate closures. Any other questions? Sir?
Yeah, can you do the parking for the Radnor station is already the Brandywine properties?
We're trying to confine it to the Brandywine properties.
They go in there, they park, and they hook it up there.
Yes. That's going to be a small walk.
Access is off of Lancaster.
Yes. Yeah.
And on the other side of the road,
On the other side of the bridge is going to be the Radnor Corporate Center, Archbishop Carroll, and that, I don't know if SEPTA reached out to those. Correct. Yeah, we're going to try and make it as efficient as possible, and even if you're on that side of the north side, maybe even pre-print some maps with efficient ways to get back to where you want to get on this side. That way we're not slowing down the traffic. Any other questions, sir?
Will there be any drop-off access at the Radnor station, or is the expectation to walk from the current?
We're going to try and establish a drop-off zone on King of Prussia Road right before Radnor Chester. The roadway is wide enough where we can have ample drop-off to the right and continuation through on King of Prussia Road and then make the left on the Radnor Chester. So we're trying to facilitate the drop-off as efficiently as possible, especially if you're on the south side of the road and you need to get on the north side. Sir?
King of Prussia Road from Lancaster up to Radnor Chester Road, two-way traffic or just one?
Two-way traffic. Yeah, we think that's going to, first of all, Penn Medicine will still be open at that time. With the city facilities being closed, they obviously had made a decision to keep their facility open, so we want to facilitate the egress as much as possible. Sir?
So the surrounding neighborhood from the parking lot, mostly every restaurant park, will it be officers there to monitor people trying to park on the street?
The roadways that are, the roads closest to the parking areas, like in Zone 2, that usually get inundated with street parking, we're going to have them posted no parking, and the ones closest to the north side, Zone 1, any road that we feel that is going to possibly get put in with traffic, we will post no parking, and the regular patrol units will be able to enforce parking. We don't theorize the north side, Zone 1, is going to have that many street parkers, considering the ample, the Radnor station is going to have ample parking. So, any other questions? Sir?
To the extent that you know, is Amtrak effective in this?
Yeah, there is no special operations for Amtrak because the last I heard was their numbers were so low that when it went to the 2 million to the 1.2, they're going to be their normal operations. Any other questions, please?
Just, pardon me, just real briefly, the superintendent brought up an excellent point, that over this weekend, we have suspended our vendor permit for people that like to come out and do door-to-door solicitations and whatnot, just because there was a great influx of people coming in here that wanted to sell holy trinkets, holy water, things of that nature. So as a result of that, we are not issuing those, so those people will not be out there. But if you do see someone out there, that's a 911 call, so the police officer can go and they can make contact with that individual and move them along. It's as a result of the influx of people that are going to be in the area, so we want to put that information out as well. Thank you. Lieutenant?
Any other questions? Just as a closing, thank you on behalf of the Township Manager, Superintendent Colarulo. To our left is Steve Norsini, our Public Works Director. We're going to have a significant amount of their staff on hand. So if we have a tree down, we want to keep your business, your resident, whatever it may be, open. So we have a plan for that. Bill Gallagher, our parking supervisor, Corporal Walt Sherman, all this staff will be in here and able to answer any unforeseen questions. We've never gone through this before, so we want you to work with us because we're going to definitely work with you. And this will be posted on the web. You're welcome back to our other session at 1 and 7 p.m. today. And thank you for coming. Make sure you pick up your handouts.